The University Tower chimes ring in another session of Ask the Professor, the show in which you match wits with the University of Detroit Mercy professors in an unrehearsed session of questions and answers. I'm your host, Matt Maio, and let me introduce to you our panel for today. If she's like me, she's very, very, very hot in the basement of Briggs in the middle of February. Is Professor Heather Hill?
I'm probably not as hot as you are.
You think?
I don't
I'm
know.
just wearing a t-shirt.
You're
and I'm
pretty
sweating
hot.
bullets.
You know?
Oh my gosh. It's February, Heather.
Hey,
It's
I'm just
February.
living the dream.
It's a wet heat, so.
Yeah. It's a dry heat. It's a wet heat.
That's the
It's a
line
dry
in
heat.
Aliens.
Oh.
It's a dry heat.
It's a dry heat. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a little steamy in here,
It's a little
but
steamy.
but we are amongst good friends.
That's right.
So
It's good to blow off some steam at the end of a pretty
That's
Or
It's a
sweat,
week.
you know.
it was a pretty crappy week, I would have to say.
It
Yes.
was kind of crappy.
Yes.
But we're moving on. We're getting into the next part of the year. According to my one Twitter account, 8% of 2024 is all
There
What?
you go.
Yeah, it tweets me every day with a little loading bar for the year.
That's wild.
It's funny.
We're on the other side of daylight now, too.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's
Oh, yeah.
for dang
Days
sure.
are getting longer.
The sun is out there, yes.
Things are getting longer.
Yep.
We can finally unplug the happy lamp.
Not quite.
Not yet. Professor Stephen Manning is here. You said that it's hard to ride the motorcycle in the snow. I wouldn't have guessed.
Oh, no, I don't ride in the snow. No,
Oh.
my reference was to, it's about pickup trucks.
Got
That's
it.
cause about pickup
Got
trucks.
it.
Because when you're on the bike,
Okay.
or even these large, what are these things called? Acadia?
Oh, those things are huge.
And I actually, I still haven't figured this
Huge.
out quite a lot, but I don't know if I am picked up by the, the blind spot thing.
Oh, right,
Oh,
when they're on
probably
the,
not.
yeah.
And I
It's a good
wanted to
point.
pay attention, I mean, because I know in the blind spot, is this light on this F-150 that's like 3 times my size? So, you have to be very careful.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about the color of cars. Is your motorcycle white? Because it's easier to see when it is.
Black.
Oh,
Completely black.
Important safety tip, Egon, thank you.
Thank you.
And I wear black, and the helmet's black, and the leather jacket's black.
And you ride at night too?
Oh,
my gosh.
I think I rode it once back from here.
Oh my.
You know,
Just being
in
Jax Teller and
last,
Sons of Anarchy.
last fall, and
Yeah.
the lights had come on because
Right.
the time had
Be
just changed and
careful.
stuff. But,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Across the table, Professor Jason Roach is here. I want to say sort of sorry about the Steelers. I watched that game. I'm sure that you also were watching that game.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Is Tomlin coming back, or
He'll be back.
Okay.
He'll be back. Who's the quarterback? That's up in the air.
That's a different story, right? Time for the draft, which is in Detroit in just a few weeks.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Exciting stuff. So, now come on, media professor here. Is anything happening down there? Are you going? Your students going? Is it an experiment?
I think one of my students got an internship with an organization in Detroit that's I can't remember the name, some kind of like group that promotes the city, but
Sure.
I can't remember what it's called.
Cool.
And I'm definitely going on the first night with a couple friends. So.
Sweet.
How about you?
Well, I was going to ask because I figured that you would be there night one. You're going to be wearing Steelers gear, I assume. Yeah,
Ah.
that's what I figured. Yeah, that's what I figured. We have this theory in all the drafts that we watch, the day one drafts, that they just wait for people to file in, and if they're just wearing sort of neutral stuff, that they're like, oh, you're a Dolphins fan for today, because someone has to cheer with every pick, But they won't have to worry about the Steelers with you in town. That's
I
for
don't
sure.
think they
He might be the only one there, but
Yeah, it's possible.
Well, I remember thinking when I was downtown a couple years ago, it was before this season started, and it had a countdown
Right.
to the draft,
That's right.
like 480 days to the draft. I'm like,
Okay.
the Lions are that excited about getting another draft pick? But it's about hosting.
That's right.
So-
That's exactly right. Professor Aaron Bell, just wondering off the top of my head, did you watch the Lions game on Sunday?
I was so worried you were going to ask me a football
It's
question.
okay. It's okay.
So I don't have live television,
That's all right.
and I don't really watch a lot of football. I have seen some of it when I've been at my gym, and I was, watching and engaging. I think it looks very exciting for other people.
Nice.
I will tell you
Diplomatic.
a fun fact about me is I've told you my mom's had all these weird jobs. One of her other jobs was painting game balls for the Lions and also a team called the Panthers.
Sure.
So I have a very weird memory of being like 5 years old in the Lions locker room, which was kind of an overwhelming place.
I would guess.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I took a different turn. Sometimes
that's
watch
cool.
swimming and ice skating, but not a lot of football. No.
Yeah,
Bell
exactly.
family.
I don't think there's anything.
It's
wrong.
not real football anymore.
Oh,
It's
true.
it's-
Fair enough.
It's hand egg. Let's be
According to
serious.
my spouse, yes. Hand egg is a great name, yeah.
That's exactly it. Will we call it football? Yes, but only a couple times during the game. Foot touch ball. Professor Dave Chow.
Pleasure to be here.
What new swear words did you learn last Sunday night?
I just kind of
Or create.
I just quietly turned my back. I didn't want to ruin the television.
Oh, jeez, it's just so sad.
It was tough to watch. It was tough to stomach.
Yes.
Like, come
Drew
on, what
was
are you
even
doing?
keeping me updated on the score. I can't believe he was even checking it. But he was, and he was updating me on the score. Yeah.
Well,
It was like this close.
I'm with you, Aaron. You know, we have 3 boys. One of them was out, with friends, the youngest one, and the older 2, we were at home. It was the night before, so it was Saturday night. And so they're not into it at all. I mean, they could give or take. We've taken them to Tigers games since they were little. That's about as
that's
far as
fun.
it goes. But we went down Saturday night and had dinner at Mercury. And the city was like I have never seen
Alive.
it in 50
Yes.
years.
Yeah.
And they were like, something big's happening. Huh? I'm glad you sensed that. Now we can go home. But it was the night of the drone show over Ford Field. We were there to see it, but it took so long to seat us. We actually
And then
didn't
how
see
many
the show.
people actually paid? Was it $20 a pop to go watch television inside Ford Field?
Yeah, no, 100%. Our students were
It was
there.
filled.
It's
Yeah.
sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Well, yeah,
pretty
that was
cool.
why I'm like, for the diehard Lions fans, I was hoping,
Right.
right,
Yeah.
for them, but also just for how good it is for the city.
Oh, just the
100%.
economic.
Yes.
Economic
Yes.
boom,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
unreal.
Yeah, $30 million a pop is a pretty big deal. Let's have more playoff games, shall we? Okay, so those, of course, are the dulcet tones of Professor Beth Oljar, rounding out the table. So, Drew, you're alluding, he wasn't watching the game, but he was giving you updates.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were watching something else. I don't even
Got it.
remember what.
Got it.
But we had talked about how we hoped that, the Lions would win because we have friends who are really big fans and lots of people who are loyal fans. And
Sure.
speaking of not the Lions loss, but the movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner.
Oh, nice.
Even if you don't like football or aren't particularly a football fan, which I'm not, that's a really good movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Partly
It is,
because
yeah.
Jennifer Garner is a huge football fanatic.
Yeah.
And she's in it. I mean, I like The Replacements, but that's really
That's
a
good, too.
comedy, right? It's not as much about football as. But Draft Day really is
Mm-hmm.
about football and the intricacies of the draft, which I don't understand. But I was surprised at how much I liked that movie, given that the subject matter was not something that would
Sure.
necessarily interest. But I guess same with Moneyball. I'm not a big
gonna
baseball
say
fan.
Moneyball's
either.
a great movie.
Moneyball
Yeah,
fits that category.
It's a very good movie.
Absolutely. Well, folks, this is a program you can send us questions regarding anything. Since I know you love prompts, how about some cool sports movies questions?
Oh,
If you stop the panel, you win a prize. If you don't, you win a prize. You can send us the questions in a number of ways. Email us at hep@udmercy.edu. Find us on Facebook and Instagram, or listen to your favorite smart speaker by asking it to play Ask the Professor at University of Detroit Mercy.
I hope one of them's
Okey-dokey.
about draft day. 'Cause
Mhm. Dear professors, it's that time I sent out 25 questions to your fine show once again. Below your fine questions that I spent the last week researching, the topics are varied across a wide spectrum. I hope they'll be challenging and fun for the show. Thanks once again for a fun and informative experience. Sincerely, Amber Hubley. And I'm certain, Amber, you told us once whether it was Hubley or Hubley. I'm pretty sure it's Hubley. I'm just going to keep saying that until you send us another set of questions and correct me for the
The
10th
lawyers.
time. I'm so sorry.
The lawyers are at the door.
You're talking to a guy who gets called Professor Meow on a daily basis. So,
well,
That's funny.
but
It
it
makes
could be
sense.
worse.
yes, it could be worse. It could be worse. On the Simpsons TV show, who voiced Professor Frink's father?
Dan Castellaneta.
No, that's a good
Oh.
guess. He's a very famous comedian.
Jerry Lewis.
Actually. It's Jerry Lewis. Yes.
Yes. Frink was a takeoff
A
on it.
takeoff on
Dan
him, so,
Castellaneta is
yeah.
the guy who does Homer, right?
He does Homer
And
lots
a
of
billion other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the first left-handed president of the United
Oh
States?
my gosh.
Taft.
Wasn't Taft. It was in that zone, though. It was in that zone.
In the Taft Zone.
In the Taft
Hayes.
Zone. Wasn't Hayes. It was in the balding white guys with long
Oh,
beards.
that narrows it down. Okay.
Ulysses S. Grant?
You're there, but it's not Grant. You're in the zone.
Jackson Johnson. I don't know.
Buchanan, no.
No,
Maybe
Buchanan
Buren?
actually didn't have a beard. He was the
Oh.
first president.
Tyler.
Nope.
I'm assuming they all have beards.
Just about.
Every president you've named, it was Garfield. It was James
Oh,
Garfield who was the
obviously.
first left-handed president. I gotta know that.
No, we do.
Yep. What is the oldest Detroit public high school? Great question. Great question.
Southwestern or
Renaissance.
Central?
It says Central here, so yeah, Dave hit it.
I'm a
That's
Detroit
on
public
the
school
park.
kid, so.
The kid from Medicine Hat knocks the local trivia out of the park. Yep. Name the three, I love this question, I'm going to say it very slowly. The three MLB Hall of Fame members that played for the Harlem Globetrotters. What a great question. I don't even know how to begin. Like,
Meadowlark
giving you a clue.
Lemon.
That's a great guess. What a great guess. Curly.
But wrong?
These are what, Major League?
Major League Baseball Hall of Fame members
Hall
that
of
played for the
Famers.
Globetrotters.
Baseball.
Wow.
That's what it says.
Interesting.
I'm definitely like,
Before or
good question. Also good question.
So I'm thinking like
they're
Bob
really good
Gibson?
athletes.
Tall
right?
baseball
Bob Gibson is one of them. Yes.
Bob
Nice.
Gibson? That's a good one.
Okay, so who else in that era? That ilk?
I don't
And
even
tall.
know how to help.
Yeah, tall.
Tall.
Very
Yeah,
tall, yes.
exactly. Initials FJ and LB. That's all I got here. Seriously.
Not gonna help me.
Larry Bird?
It's a great guess.
The Hick from French Lick.
No, the LB is Lou Brock,
Oh,
and the FJ is Ferguson Jenkins.
Fergie Jenkins.
Oh, Lou Brock
That
was
is
that
the
big, wasn't he?
wild. That is just a
don't know.
wild question. Yeah.
He was a speedster. That's,
Yeah, he was fast, but not.
So they stumped us on 2 in a row now, is that
This
it?
is tough. This is tough.
Oh,
Yeah,
bad
exactly.
streak. Bad streak.
Did Amber give us a passing grade?
Oh,
or Can
absolutely
we just
not.
make up our own
So,
grading
As
scale?
long as you get one correct, which
We're
you
done.
did on the first one, we're good.
We'll
Okay,
grade on
cool.
the curve.
Yes.
Yes. Where's
Slow.
Mara? Where's Kendra? What element has the lowest boiling point?
Hydrogen?
Hydrogen would be the logical guess, but it's actually not. It's the next one on the table.
helium?
It's helium. Yes.
The squeaky
one.
guess.
I'm just glad my guess was wrong, but not stupid.
It was not stupid. No,
Well, you were in the ballpark.
You went to the very first element on the periodic table. It makes a ton of sense.
It's logical.
Since I don't have it memorized,
It's
like
okay.
some people probably
Well,
do.
you brought up Mill in regular conversation just a minute ago.
Well,
I mean, come on. What U.S. city is bordered by these suburbs? Aberdeen, Catonsville, Towson,
That would be
Maryland.
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
a.k.a.
City.
Balmer City.
Sorry.
Yes. Mhm. Collectively, who are the Boston Shamrocks, the New Jersey Reds, and the Atlantic Seagulls?
Minor league baseball teams?
You're in the zone, but it's not baseball.
Basketball.
They
Minor
are
league
basketball. They are basketball, but
Uh.
collectively, what kind of basketball?
ABA?
Women's?
Nope, that's a good guess.
Division 2?
Division three.
What if I said the Washington Generals?
Oh, exhibition basketball.
Oh,
You're almost there.
Harlem Globetrotters.
They're all opponents of the Globetrotters. Yes. If you want an
Entertainment
awesome,
basketball.
exactly,
Yes.
exhibition, that's pretty good. If you want to read a stunning article, only once have the Globetrotters lost a game, and they lost it to the Washington Generals. The crowd got so behind the Generals when they kept it close in the script that the people playing for the Generals were like,
Do it.
let's
Yeah.
just
As a one.
It is an awesome piece of sports media, by the way. Awesome piece of sports media. They won once.
So how was it? Okay, that being said, the Harlem Globetrotters. So what was that locker room like?
Oh yeah, I mean
What?
seriously.
We lost to these chumps?
That's better than the Titans.
We're
Oh,
Ouch.
wasn't gonna
ouch.
say it.
Oh, you had to go there.
I'm going to say it. The guys who you know, I won't say anything else, on the afternoon sports
Yeah,
radio,
oh.
they did 35 minutes on us today.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't a single positive syllable.
They were going to come in here
I
to the
hope they
stadium.
were. I hope they were positive about the players and less positive about the
I
administration.
will let you go watch the stream. And it wasn't pretty.
I
Had
It
an
wasn't pretty.
interesting conversation with Steve Corder about that.
I bet you did. I bet you did.
One of the students in my online course.
Yes. On what late 80s TV show did Alan Hale make his last appearance as the skipper from Gilligan's Island? FYI, it was not Gilligan's Island.
Oh, so it was like
Love
a
Boat.
crossover.
Love Boat's a good guess. It was 87. It was a crossover. What show?
Hold
So,
on.
Mork and Mindy.
No,
You need to go a little bit closer to where
Alf.
we are now. It was Alf.
What?
It was Alf. Yes.
it was definitely one of those
Oh,
surreal.
man.
I was thinking. I was.
Wow.
I
That
slay
was-
me.
That
A
was
show I didn't
incredible.
watch. That
That was
explains why I
incredible.
didn't know it.
Gordon Shumway.
Wow.
Name 3 of the 4 people Vivian Lee beat in the 12th Academy Awards in the Best Actress category for her portrayal of Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind.
Betty
Grace.
Davis.
That was
Betty Davis in Dark Victory, that is correct.
Claudette Colbert.
Nope,
What
I don't
about
have that.
Judy Garland from
Nope,
Netherlands?
nope, no Judy Garland.
Who else?
I'm trying to think of actresses,
Yeah,
other
of that era,
actresses at the
but-
time.
How about
Not,
these for initials? ID, GG, and GG.
Greta
Greta
Garbo.
Garbo.
Greta Garbo from Ninotchka. Yep.
Ingrid something?
Gil-
Ingrid Bergman.
Jean.
Ida.
No.
something.
Ida.
The movie was Love Affair. Her name is Irene Dunn. I just got
Irene
to
Dunn,
know, like
okay.
Jim would have known that. And Greer Garson in
Greer.
Goodbye,
Oh,
Mr. Chips.
oh,
Yes.
Greer
2
Garson.
GGs.
Was that
Two
Mrs.
GGs.
Miniver? Was that Greer Garson? I don't know. Mrs. Miniver.
I know.
love
I
that
recognize the name, but
movie. I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, Scarlett did have the best monologue of all time, the best speech, the greatest
100%.
speech ever.
And the best
Maybe the
dress.
second best.
Who was the first Hollywood actor to get drafted to World War II? It's a good piece of trivia.
Hollywood actor.
Oh,
Cary Grant?
no.
Clark Gable.
Ronald Reagan.
No, he was.
Wasn't John Wayne.
For the record, he was
the
not
vo-
a live actor.
He was the voice
Oh.
of Winnie the Pooh.
Wait a minute, how could
He
he?
was a dead actor?
He was the voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right.
Sterling Holloway.
Sterling Holloway.
Oh,
Okay.
he mean,
Yes.
that means he's dead now.
Off the charts, Dave.
I was
Yeah.
a little
This is like
confused.
He was
for a
the-
moment.
So
Big,
the
big
Department of Defense made him. Hey, I applied for a job at the Naval Academy at Annapolis. So when I got and I actually interviewed with them. It was right around the time of Tailhook, so that was an interesting conversation. But when I got the letter from them telling me they didn't want me, which was no huge surprise, the Department of Defense had misspelled my name. And I'm like, I feel so much safer now.
you should.
You can't even
You should.
spell Oljar correctly. It's not that hard.
How did they spell it?
Ajlar?
I think a lot of my students put an I in there. That's probably
Oil jar.
Olajar. That's what they think.
Oh,
it is.
jar.
Interesting.
Wow.
Professors, what is a columbarium? Columbarium.
Is it a plant?
It is not.
Is it
I've actually seen that.
A
Spell it again.
It's gonna be like
Please.
what? Like an aquarium, terrarium.
C-O-L-U-M-B-A-R-I-U-M.
Is it a container for an animal?
Is it
It
has
is a
something to
container
do
for
with
something.
doves or birds or nope? It's a container for
It's a
something.
container for something, yep.
Nuclear radiation?
I could completely give it away by saying the very, very famous American city, New Orleans.
Gumbo?
Drunks?
Containers.
Uh,
Yeah, you're completely giving it
Jump-
away.
Yeah.
Crawfish?
Saxophones?
One of the most remarkable things about going to
River
New Orleans
rats?
is the fact that they cannot bury their dead. So it is a above ground.
Right.
Oh.
Like
Above ground
Like a
tombs.
so the cemetery. Okay,
Yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the cemeteries
It's
have all the
in New England we call them receiving tombs.
Interesting.
And we have them.
Interesting.
They're still around because it used to be that when in the winter the ground would be too frozen to dig it up,
Yes.
so they would spend the bodies would spend. There's a famous Emily Dickinson poem about that.
I like it. I like it.
So you didn't give it away when you said New Orleans.
No, I just figured Little Cities of the Dead is the first thing I think of.
I will have to regale you folks
Yeah.
later with a story about my family's history about
Oh,
in my mom's
really?
village,
Okay.
where they dug people up and they missed a piece.
Ouch.
Okay.
So
This is starting to sound like Poltergeist.
it
now.
Anyway.
very much is. It is.
Anyway, thanks for the hint there, though.
Sure, no
Matt.
problem.
That was
Or
really
Pet
Did you
Sematary.
use
helpful.
headstones?
Moving on.
I'm not going to be able to do it because now I've got a Simpsons quote in my head.
Oh God.
You know, when you sold us this house, You never mentioned it was built on an ancient Indian burial ground. Click. He said he mentioned it several times. Okay. What costs more, professors? The actual ship Titanic or the film Titanic?
Oh,
That's
film.
a great question.
That's film by a
Great
mile.
question.
Well, how can it not be the film?
It's the
James
film.
Cameron, it must have been the film.
Cameron's cost alone. Yeah, exactly. No, the film was $200 million. Oh my gosh, that seems like a pittance. In 2024, the ship was only $7.5 million. That's incredible.
Although in Aliens, you know those cool pods that they all wake up in? He didn't have enough money to make 12 of those, or however many there were on the team of Marines, so he used 6, and then there were mirrors to make it look like
Yeah,
there were more of
that's
them.
smart. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Great piece, Amber, of Detroit trivia.
Uh-oh.
We haven't had this either ever or in a long time. Why was the Monkees, Kees, the Monkees' first concert in Detroit at Olympia Stadium postponed? Great piece of trivia.
It was flooded.
It was flooded is a good guess. That's incorrect.
Conflict with a Red Wings game?
No, that's that's the obvious guess.
Riots?
Right there. Yeah,
Wow,
July
okay.
29th, 1967
Seven.
was their very, very first play. For the record, they hung around until August 13th
Wow.
and did their show that day.
Oh.
Wow.
Good for
Okay,
them.
Good
Hey,
for the
hey.
Monkees.
Hey, we're the monkeys.
Yeah.
Hey,
seriously.
we're sequestered.
That's, yeah, how are they going to get out of the city? That's my thing. The more I talk to people like Mary Lou Caspers in our department says, basically, well, there's water on one big side, but there was basically a wall of tanks and people with big guns around the city. You could not get in or out. She was stuck at a friend's house for over 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
It's
I
real history.
actually
right
questioned my cousins who were on Grand River, who
there. There you go.
had a business there, and they said the only thing that saved them was, they had this neon sign, this Chinese laundromat. They swore up and down because that was the only thing that saved them from being torched, because all the other buildings around them were pretty destroyed.
That's horrible. Whew. Lewis Wilson, 1943. Robert Lowry, 1949. And, of course, Val Kilmer in 1995. They all played this character.
The
Doc
Saint.
Holliday.
Or whatever.
The Saint.
Oh, who were the first two guys?
Dracula.
Batman.
Batman is the answer.
Batman.
Yeah.
There you go.
Lewis Wilson and Robert Lowry.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I think
That's
Dracula's
old school stuff.
close enough.
That was really.
It's in the wheelhouse.
It wasn't Jim Morrison. So.
Actually,
Dracula, Batman, come on.
Val Kilmer's
I know,
best
right?
performance
Yeah,
in any movie was in Tombstone. as
Pointy
Oh,
well.
ears,
totally agree.
pointy ears, pointy teeth. I mean, come on.
And of course, what is it? What's his name? Who just played him? I can never remember. How come I can't think? It's
Wasn't it
bad.
Robert Pattinson that just
No. Well, okay, yeah. That,
We're
but
talking about
before that,
Dracula
it
or
was-
Batman?
Oh,
Christian
Bale?
Bale?
No, after Christian Bale. Oh, I can't
After?
remember.
There's another Batman?
There was another Batman after Christian Bale?
Oh my gosh, Goodwill Hunting. Someone help me here.
Ben
Ben
Affleck.
Affleck?
Thank you, Ben
Affleck.
Affleck. Could not think of Ben Affleck for some reason.
Oh.
We've had it before. Ben Affleck was older
Batfleck.
than playing, Batman than Adam West ever was playing Batman. It's
Wow.
funny. In the late 19th century, Louis Grebe and H.W. Hitchcock had trading cards made in their honor. What was their claim to fame?
What were their names again?
Louis Grebe and H.W. Hitchcock,
In what era?
19th century.
So were they like
Gunfighters?
No,
tobacconists?
no,
guess.
but you're
Horse
in
racers.
the zone of like the general
Gunfighters.
trades,
Chemistry?
not horse racers,
Are they
not
chemistry?
I'm thinking,
professors?
you got those with cigarette packs, right? The original ones, like Honus Wagner's?
Yeah.
They were moguls.
And then
Pulp
Bubble.
Fiction.
They were
Yeah,
moguls,
so-
but what were they moguls of?
Ski? Oh,
Something
Pulp
to,
newspapers.
No.
Railroad.
something to do with tobacco.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
tobacco.
Well, he
no.
said tobacco, and you said
was
no, no,
close
no,
because
no, no.
It was a product.
Bootleggers.
It was a product. They
Oh.
were bootleg, getting closer.
Moguls. Cereal moguls.
They
Railroads.
hawked illegal ware in the Baltimore area during that time.
They hawked a what?
a
Morphine.
legal ware.
Alcohol.
No,
Whaling.
getting closer.
Divorce.
What'd you say?
Corsets, whale-bone corsets.
No, they were
Ivory.
Ambergris. Just kidding.
There you go.
they were Baltimore's premier oyster packers at
Oh.
that time.
And they
Okay.
get
And they got
Trading
trading
cards?
cards?
They had trading cards made for them. Don't get me
Wow.
started.
Well,
Oh,
shucking
my gosh.
oysters is not easy.
Yeah,
It's not easy.
What are they worth today if you go to a collector?
Good question. Good
Can I
question.
trade this in for my Honus Wagner?
Oh my gosh. I think we've had this one before, but it's always fun. So these celebrities all have something in common. And boy, oh boy, is it across the board.
They were never seen in Dan Maggio's kitchen.
Jennifer Lopez, Stevie Nicks, Terry Hatcher, Jennifer Connelly, Bonnie Raitt, Jeff Goldblum.
Same birthday.
That's the classic, but Jeff Goldblum's a little bit older than Jennifer Connelly.
Born in the same city?
Nope, not
State.
from the same place.
They've all been on SNL.
Nope. It's not what it says here, even if that's true. It's not what it says.
Okay.
So you've got singers and
Jennifer Lopez, Stevie
Actors.
Nicks, Terry Hatcher, Jennifer Connelly.
What do they all have in
Bonnie
common?
Raitt,
That's-
Jeff Goldblum.
That's the question.
Yep.
she's a brunette.
It's interesting
Kind of
that
be
the first X
television
number are
actress.
female, don't you think?
The first what?
Jennifer Lopez, Stevie Nicks, Terry Hatcher, Jennifer Connelly, Bonnie Raitt, they're all female. And then suddenly Jeff Goldblum at the end.
Did they all...
What do you
All of
suggest?
why?
They all have an extra chromosome or something?
They were all.
Left-handed. Left-handed, right-handed.
That's a good guess, but
Ambidextrous.
no.
He
Did they
was
all
in-
play sidekicks to someone who was the star?
They're
It's more fundamental than all this. So all of their middle names are exactly the same. It's Lynn.
Lynn.
Oh, okay.
Jeff Lynn.
Jeff Lynn
Oh, that
Goldblum.
changes
That's
things
funny, I
for
was
me.
listening to Bonnie Raitt in my office before I came down here.
Awesome.
I love Jeff Goldblum.
Let's see. What were the first names of the two Ropers on Three's Company?
Norma?
Helen.
Norman?
Edna.
And Stanley.
No.
Helen and Stanley.
No.
Al? Oh, I
no,
thought you
Norman.
said Roker.
Norman Fell
Norman
and...
Fell was the actor who played it.
actor.
See?
Yeah, and Audrey Lynn. Or no.
Is that in the wheelhouse?
It is in the wheelhouse. Actually, I love that they were all sort of like, all the names that everybody set out were sort of like ornery neighbor names. So it made sense to me. Like,
Yeah.
seriously.
See?
In what city was famed game show host Alex Trebek born?
Oh,
Toronto?
Ottawa. Ottawa?
Toronto?
It does not say Ottawa. It does not say Toronto.
Belleville,
Montreal.
Mississauga.
He went to
Hold
the
on, I'm
University
going
of
up to
Ottawa.
401 right about
Guelph.
Steve, help me out.
Don't forget Guelph.
Brampton.
Vancouver.
St.
Mississauga.
Catharines.
Oshawa.
It's in Ontario.
Oh.
London.
London,
Sudbury.
Sudbury.
Wow, nice.
Well,
Nice job.
There it is. Woo, we got
Just,
there.
just driving up to
Thinking
401.
thinking of all those train stops on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
way
yeah.
to Toronto.
I gotta take a pee, Dad. Where are we stopping? Sudbury.
Sudbury.
Can you hold it till Sudbury?
No, I can't make it to Belleville.
Can you hold it till Sudbury? That sounds like a great
Keep
album
jogging
name.
until you get to Mississauga.
Which car manufacturer was the first to tout and advertise their stellar J.D. Power rating? In what year? And in what year, sorry.
Buick in
Cadillac.
1987.
Volvo?
I'll tell you what, it was 84, so that's
Okay.
really close. It was
Okay.
84, but it was not any of the things I've heard so far.
No. American
Chevy
manufacturer?
Chevette.
No, not at the time.
Oh, interesting.
Not at the time.
At the time.
Cadillac.
84.
Daimler
nope.
Chrysler.
Toyota Camry.
What?
I already
Honda.
said Cat.
Haven't heard it yet.
Toyota.
Mazda?
Subaru.
It's Subaru. It is Subaru.
Inexpensive and built to stay that way.
Those are great cars. I
Love.
have one.
makes
Love.
I
That's
was
what
gonna
makes
sing
it.
They are
Subaru.
dog tested and
Dog
dog
tested.
approved.
They
That's
are. I
right.
love those
That's
commercials.
I was going to sing the Hodges Subaru jingle because my buddy works there up at 8 Mile of Woodward. So, yeah, Hodges Subaru.
Do it.
I can't do I'm not doing it now.
Those in the
There's too
know.
much pressure. I'm too sweaty. It's the end of the week. Dogs and cats living together.
That's hysteria.
That's hysteria. Professors, what do malacologists study? M-A-L-A. Malacologists
Rocks.
study. They do not.
Malachite.
That is a reasonable guess, I have to say. But that is not what it
Maladjusted
is.
people.
What did
What
Maladies.
is malady?
They study
Maladies,
maladies.
maladjusted
They
people,
study
malachite. No, no.
Evil Dracula figure.
I could give you one of the things they study to see
Earthquakes.
if you can dig it, right? So what if I told you that they study? I have to be really careful now. I don't want to screw this up.
Yeah,
It's too much pressure.
because your
Oh my
glass
God.
is
He's too
blue,
sweaty.
really.
You can sing the Hodges
Yeah.
Subaru song. It'll unloosen everything.
Oh no, it won't. There's no way I'm going to be able to figure it out. I was going to say crabs, but I don't think crabs are Are crabs
Mollusks?
mollusks?
Crustacea.
It is.
Oh,
They're
mollusks.
mollusks.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Well,
exactly.
you could have said like scallops or.
Yeah, scallops.
Or, you know,
Mussel
go-to
clams.
mollusk.
Or there's,
Oysters?
or there's trading cards made of the people that hunt them.
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
don't
Go back
I
to middle
have a
school
go-to
recall.
mollusk? I swear.
Is an oyster a mollusk
I don't
as
know.
well?
I don't
Yeah.
know. Are they?
It is?
Are they bivalves?
Okay.
I think maybe.
Mussels are too.
And delicious.
Yes, mussels are.
Let's round things out. Awesome question set, Amber. Just awesome. Thank you so much for sending
Those
them.
were really cool.
I think you know this, but what number can't be represented in Roman numerals?
Zero.
Zero, yeah. That's the one that everybody forgets, but it's an important number. Let's be serious.
Now, do they
Let's
have
be
an O?
serious.
Zero is a number, I guess.
Is there a what?
Zero? Or no, I mean the letter O?
No,
Uh-uh.
no, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
There's an M,
Must
a
exist in the
C,
Latin
an L, a
alphabet.
D.
But there is no concept of a Super Bowl zero in Latin. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's...
We need Arabic numerals.
Ooh, we have a few seconds left. I know Jason knows. What was the only Super Bowl that didn't use Roman numerals?
50.
Aha, there we go. They couldn't do it because it was L, and everybody would think it just said
Oh,
two L's on the end of the
Super
word.
Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Or
Super Bowl.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
superb
That's
owl.
funny, I
Wait,
did
this
not
sounds like
know
a
that.
soccer call.
Do you know the superb owl?
Superb
yeah.
owl.
That's what I
love
celebrate.
it. I
It's
love
the
it.
best.
Oh, professors, I'm so sorry and so sweaty, but it's time
Oh my goodness.
to say goodbye.
TMI.
Beth,
I'm so sorry that you're so sweaty, but I will see you next week.
Dave,
See ya.
Aaron,
Goodbye.
Jason,
Goodbye.
Stephen,
Goodbye.
and Heather.
Bye-bye.
And now these words from University of Detroit Mercy. I'm really, really sweaty.
You can email Ask the Professor at atp@udmercy.edu or visit the Ask the Professor Facebook page.
Ask the Professor is produced and directed by Michael Jason and Brian Masonville, and our executive producer is Professor Jason Roach. Until next week, I'm your host, Matt Mayo.